My to-do list was never ending. I had no clear priorities, and I often ended the day feeling like there was more to do than when I started. Over the years, I've dived deep into every productivity method I can find. And in this video, I want to get straight to the point with 7 shifts that have genuinely changed the game for me and helped me get so much more of the right things done. Oh, and everything I'm about to share can be put straight into action with my Intentional Life OS. It's the exact system that I use to manage my life and is built on the principles we're going to talk about today. So I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to check it out. Okay, let's get to it. You see a big project in your calendar, say report due Friday, and you think, okay, great, plenty of time. Then suddenly it's Thursday night and you're in full-blown panic mode. Let me know if you can relate. Floating deadlines just mean that I tend to push the work back continuously, which always leads to more stress and rushing around at the last minute. But I want you to know that there's a shift that you can make that changes this completely. And that is switching from due dates, i.e. DUE dates, to due dates, i.e. DO dates. So instead of only tracking when something is technically due, you're also planning on when you're actually going to do the task itself. Instead of saying the report is due Friday, you might say, I'm going to work on the report on Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. I have set up my Notion so that in the task card itself, there is a space for the due date and there's also a space for the deadline date. I mostly just focus on my main to-do list, which is a view of my due date tasks. But I've got the deadline in the background if I want to keep an eye on that. And I promise you that this is going to set you up for success so much more than relying on deadlines. You can block out the time perfectly and yet still find yourself staring at your list and thinking, I just cannot be bothered to do this right now. And this isn't always because you ran out of hours, it's more because you ran out of steam. Most of us plan our time based on the number of tasks that we think we can realistically fit in a day. But what I found is that your brain doesn't just run on time. More than anything, it runs on energy. If you stack too many high energy tasks on top of each other during the day, then you are going to burn out fast. Once your energy's gone, even the simplest and easiest tasks can feel virtually impossible. So the solution that I found is to plan your tasks around the energy that they require and be really honest with yourself about this. I like to call this energy setting, and it's about matching your to-do list to your actual capacity for the day. You can do this by classifying your tasks by energy level. For example, high energy tasks might be things like creative problem solving, deep focus work, or big decision making. For someone like me who is quite introverted, things like networking or socializing are also going to drain a lot of my battery. Medium energy tasks could be things like routine work or planning or research. And low energy tasks might be things like admin, quickly replying to emails, tidying up, or really quick 5-minute jobs. Sometimes it's obvious what a high energy task is, but also think about what is high energy specifically for your personality type. Really try not to overload yourself with high energy tasks every day. And specifically, I mean trying to limit yourself to 1 to 2 maximum. So for example, filming a YouTube video for me would class as a high energy task. And if that was my only high energy task for the day, I would still count doing this as a success. Once you've locked in your 1 to 2, you can then fill the space around those with medium and low energy tasks and just make sure that the day is looking balanced. I'm quite a visual person, so something which really helps me with this is to actually use little icons. And in my Notion, I use like little lightning bolt symbols, and that just really helps me to visually plot out each day what my energy is looking like and whether it's balanced. One thing that I really want to stress is that not all tasks are created equal. It's very easy to feel productive ticking off lots of low impact tasks. For example, dusting my bedroom might feel really productive, but in reality, sitting here and filming this YouTube video is a lot more important in terms of moving towards my goals. So I encourage you to use some kind of a task prioritization system so that you know where to start. The first thing that I do in the morning, which is something that I would recommend everyone do, is identify your number 1 most important task that needs to get done that day. I like to call this the goal in capital letters. And this is if nothing else gets done, this one thing must get done. And that should be something that's moving me forwards. I have taken most of my prioritization system from August Bradley's Pillars, Pipelines and Vaults, and it looks like this. Firstly, we have the goal, or our number one priority, which is the non-negotiable for the day. Next, we have our second and third priority tasks. Then there's quick tasks, so anything that will take 5 minutes or so. There's also a space for reminders, and then anything else I will simply mark as extra credit. So it's great if I get round to it, but if I don't, no stress. Once you've locked in that one big goal for the day, what about everything else on your list though? If you're not careful, that everything else can turn into a never-ending list of half-finished tasks. When you overload your to-do list, you not only create a lot of stress, but you actually dilute your focus as well. And the solution that I found is only setting 3 main priority tasks per day. Anything beyond those should really be a bonus and not an expectation. And the way that I do that in my own Notion is just by making sure that my today's to-do list is focused in on just those tasks that I need to complete. So it really isn't as overwhelming when I can just see that I've got 3 main tasks. Make sure that you're framing your to-do list so that you can't see what's going on outside of it, whether that's tomorrow, next week, or next month. Just hone in on that smaller picture view, and it's going to really help you with getting stuff done in the next 24 hours in front of you. Even once all of these things are in place, it's still so easy to get derailed. An email here, a notification there, or someone asking for just 5 minutes of your time. We all know how that goes. Before you know it, half the day is gone, and that goal that you set in the morning, that non-negotiable, still isn't done. This is where people confuse urgent with important. You've probably heard the saying, don't be a busy fool, but I just want to stress that being busy does not necessarily equal making progress. And if urgent work always comes first for you, then the important work is never going to get done. There's an analogy that I heard that really helps me to grasp the difference between urgent and important work. Imagine your day is a jar. The big rocks are your most important tasks, the things that actually move you forward. Whereas the sand is all the little inconsequential things. The problem is that if you fill your jar with sand first, you will not be able to fit the big rocks in that jar. However, if you put the big rocks in first, the sand will filter around the rocks. And really what this analogy is trying to get at is that you need to schedule your most important tasks. If you don't do that, the sand will fill your jar, all those inconsequential urgent things that you're firefighting, and you will not be able to make time for those important things. So firstly, I want you to identify what urgent but non-important work looks like to you. For me, that might be replying to non-critical emails, minor admin that pops up unexpectedly, or messages and requests from other people that just don't align with my priorities. Then once you've done this, flip that and take a look at what is the important but non-urgent work in your life. For me, that would be things like writing blog posts, filming these YouTube videos, as well as things like making sure I'm exercising every day. This is why for me personally, I will make sure that I schedule 2 to 3 hours of deep focus work during my mornings. This makes sure that I put those big rocks in first before I'm swamped with emails and to-dos and little things that are just distracting my time and energy. So big rocks first, everything else fits around them. I think this point actually goes into some deeper things as well, which is more about learning to say no and also setting boundaries around your time and energy when it comes to other people's requests. So if you want more on that, then do let me know in the comments and I can go into that in another video. At this point, you may be thinking, okay, so if I get the whole urgent versus important thing, but how do I know what's actually important in my life? The problem with to-do lists is that they often become a pile of random, disconnected tasks. Productivity is not about doing more, it's about doing more of the right things. Because without alignment, you can be climbing a ladder that is propped against the wrong wall. So zoom out and make sure that your tasks are also focused on the bigger picture. And I know you might be thinking, well, I need to clean the bathroom, but that doesn't exactly align with my goals or big vision. But honestly, even when it comes to things like mundane cleaning tasks, I think that we can tie those to bigger things. I want to live in a minimalist and decluttered environment that really supports my well-being and encourages me to do more of the things that really matter to me. And I'm not saying that absolutely everything has to have some kind of link, by the way. But I do still think it's important to ask yourself that question. You really want to think about it like building from the top down. So you start with your vision and values, then you move to your goals and projects, and that then filters down into those habits and daily tasks, the things which are moving you towards the bigger picture. So here's an example of how that might look for me to make those connections. So the task might be writing the first draft of a blog post. This could tie to the bigger picture goal of growing my website Intentional View. And this goal could be tied to the bigger picture vision or dream of building a personal brand that aligns with my values. The thing that I find is that tasks that are rooted in things that really matter to you are also going to rely a lot less on willpower when it comes to getting them done. It really starts to tap into your sense of purpose, which is going to make you a lot more motivated to work on these things. So make it a habit to check in with yourself and just make sure that the majority of tasks on your task list are actually connected in some way to your goals and bigger picture vision. Because if you consistently find that they're not, then it might be time to start reconsidering some of those things and whether you're actually working on the right tasks in the first place. Once you've nailed all these aspects of your to-do list, there's still one thing that can slow you down, and that's feeling like you're constantly making it up as you go, day after day, and you're spending way too much time on planning things from scratch. As we discussed earlier, it's great to have a really focused view of your to-do list, but it's also important to remember that your to-do list doesn't work in isolation. Daily systems really work best, in my experience, when they're anchored in some kind of bigger picture plan. Without this, you risk overloading some days and underusing others, and your daily to-do list planning can also start to feel quite reactive. This is why I really recommend that everyone takes a little bit of time to do what I like to call a Sunday reset and plan your week before it even starts. This helps you to spread your tasks realistically and just take out a lot of the guesswork of your week. I will often move things around between days as needed just to make sure that my week is balanced. And I should mention that this is exactly how my Intentional Life OS is set up. It makes your Sunday reset really seamless, and the rest of your week and daily to-do list will just be set up for you on autopilot. If something changes or something last minute happens, you can just really quickly drag and drop things between days, which I find to be such a helpful feature. Okay guys, I hope you found this helpful. This is just one part of my deeper framework for creating an intentional life. Make sure to check out this video right here, where I dive into my exact 5-step system to start designing an intentional life from scratch. I will see you there.